temperature in Joburg is as cold as the reception Cyril received on landing in the USA. The backs of soldiers turned to the leader of a country is one of the highest levels of disrespect. And that hurt more than the showdown that took place in the White House, for me personally. I think because the showdown was maybe anticipated. So he's a do as I say, not as I do kind of guy. And I said that in my previous video. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Nix and I generally ramble on about one or other government debacle that requires a bit of accountability. Let me show you why I say that. Why is Cyril a do as I say, not do as I do? Let's take a look at private Cyril versus public Cyril. Public Cyril proudly sits in the White House and says that we invest 22 companies in your country and you invest over 600 in our country. That is not something to be proud of, Cyril. That is not called trade balance. That is a 3.6% investment compared to the USA. Why would you say that? But funny then, on the flip side, you also say that South Africa will not be dictated to.
And I can say that business does not dictate what happens. One in government does not dictate what happens in the ANC that I lead.
You sit in the White House and proudly declare your role in the peace talks with Ukraine.
Bad situation.
Well, you'd recall when President Zelensky was coming to South Africa, that's when I spoke to you.
That's right.
We both agreed that we need to push the peace message so that there can really be peace. And we've been involved in the Ukraine-Russia conflict for quite a while. Through my Minister of State Security here, we've been dealing with them, the exchange of children who were taken away, going through names and addresses and all that. So we've been invested in that whole process as well. And the moves that you are making are fully supported by us because we would like to see the end of that war.
Yeah. Sure, I call so.
Meanwhile, in your country, everything is falling apart. Our death rate is the same as the one in Ukraine. Ukraine, in war, is on par for GDP. So technically, President of South Africa is currently operating in warlike conditions, on par with Ukraine in terms of GDP and death rates. Well done. I was late for the Trump and Cyril showdown. I was very engrossed in this conversation from State of the Nation. Love this podcast.
The trick is, I think Ramaphosa has got to do, I think one thing that you didn't mention is Ramaphosa could go there and sort of remove himself from being the leader of government and behave like a mediator and say, look, Trump, this is not me. Please don't attack me. This is the ANC. Understand. Politics works differently here. As in, this was a party decision. I didn't make this decision. Just understand that I'm the mediator. I'm taking what you're saying, but I'll guarantee you that 1, 2, 3 won't happen. I'll take it back to the ANC and I'll try and convince them. So you'll try and come across as this mediator who's going to try and convince Trump that, look, I'm with you, but you know, the party is the issue that I work for. But no, I'm with you, so don't attack me. Just, man, take it easy on me. That's what I believe Ramaphosa will try and do today.
And funny enough, true as Bob, there he is, sitting in the White House, doing exactly what was predicted.
whatever you may call it, legislature.
Well, let
and
me
it was
clarify
terrible.
that.
Yeah,
Let me
please.
clarify that, because what you saw, the speeches that were being made, one, that is not government policy. We have a multi-party democracy in South Africa that allows people to express themselves, political parties to adhere to various policies, and in many cases, or in some cases, those policies do not go along with government policy. Our government policy is completely against what he was saying, even in the parliament. And they're a small minority party, which is allowed to exist in terms of our constitution.
But you do allow them to take land.
No.
You do allow them to take land.
Nobody can
and then
take
when
land.
they take the land, they kill the white farmer.
And I came across a conversation from Fikile to the media doing exactly the same thing.
We're not chanting, kill the poor, kill the farmer, because we don't believe it is relevant at the present moment. But we wouldn't stop others from chanting. It is not banned, it is not illegal, as it is now defined by the Constitutional Court. But as an ANC, we don't think that chanting that slogan is relevant to the cause.
Oh, we're the government, but it's not our party. We don't uphold the law, and we have no role in the Constitution. You have control over the Constitution. You have control over the government. But because it's just some other party, you take absolutely no accountability. How shameful. You sit in the White House and pretend like you played a role in the peace talks with the DRC. Are you insane? I think sometimes it really is better just to keep quiet and let the big boys handle the conversation. Because in no way are you involved in the peace talks in DRC. You are involved in the chaos. And blow me down, this week I hear that our soldiers are stranded there, watching equipment leave the country. Nobody's coming to pick them up because there are no funds. They have no food.
Reporting in city press over quite frankly, the abandonment of South Africa's soldiers in the eastern DRC. So ever since the military defeat that our soldiers suffered in DRC, government has been saying essentially that it's intending to bring home the soldiers who were deployed on a peacekeeping mission to the DRC to support the government of the DRC against Rwandan-backed rebels. Now, the process for withdrawing those soldiers has in fact begun. The heavy equipment is being carted out of the country in significant amounts. But according to city press, the soldiers are being left behind, at least for now, due to a lack of funds. Approximately half of the military's equipment in Goma and Sake has already been transported by truck to Tanzania. And there have been a small group of soldiers taken out of the country. So some indications that some have an additional group has left since this report was written. However, the vast majority have not been picked up because, according to a senior officer involved in coordinating the repatriation, quote, "Our feedback is that SADC has not hired the buses, and we are also not aware of any flights." A frustrated military officer said, quote, "The problem is we are completely in the dark while we just see how the equipment becomes less and less. We are not going anywhere. The bigger problem is how to explain to one's subordinate troops when you yourself don't even know. It's not pleasant for anyone to know the equipment is apparently more important than the people, especially not given the circumstances under which we have been living since January." The officer continued, "We sometimes get something to eat once a day, and that is thanks to the generosity of other contingents that are part of the United Nations mission. Some of the countries are now sharing their own emergency supplies with us while we are literally dependent on mercy. How does one explain this to your subordinates and keep them calm while tempers just want to boil over all the time?" The officer even said that some of the soldiers are threatening to protest at the headquarters of the mission in DRC, which he described as being a potential disgrace for South Africa.
They are relying on their counterparts as well as the United Nations to spare whatever they can for our soldiers. And our president sits in the White House and says this.
Very good.
No, we have to thank you for even those efforts, because the African continent, particularly SADC, our Southern African Development Community, has for years been seeking to foster peace in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So all efforts, including those from outside the continent and inside the continent, are really worthwhile. We are removing our troops from there so that peace can then prevail in that whole area. And we hope that with the support of the international community, we will really have peace in that area. It's so vital, it's so important for the whole region.
Well, we sent our people there.
Abhorrent. Abhorrent. Don't dig deep into the well of corruption and disgust and pretend like any of that shit and pretend like any of that beep can be shined to smell like a rose. None of what you said on stage is something to be proud of. Where is that? Oh, I must investigate. That's a common feature with Cyril. He has no cooking clue what's happening in this country. In just the last 3 to 4 months, he has been caught out numerous times being surprised at the state of this country. Eastern Cape, corruption, surprised. State of Johannesburg, surprised. The farm murders and the white crosses, surprised. You sit in the White House and declare that you know nothing about the farm murders, that you know nothing about the land grabs, that expropriation without compensation is going to be fine. No, don't worry. Our law will uphold this. Even though we have a crime rate, even though we have a death rate, the same as Ukraine. We don't have a police force. It's been diminishing for years. Or our police look after double the amount of people than the United Nations recommends. So no, sorry. You deny all of this land issues and hiding it under the umbrella of transformation. But what does transformation look like to you, Cyril? What does transformation look like to you as a coward? Everyone needs to know that the person that was sitting to Cyril's right also said this not too long ago.
Giving a warning to white South Africans that they must voluntarily bring back the land and voluntarily bring back the mineral resources. There will be a moment where these service delivery protests are going to go to invade the land of Mr. Van Tonder or Mr. Van der Merwe. And we can no longer be able to guarantee the continued safety of Mr. Van der Merwe.
And then that delegation sits there, smirking like that, so embarrassed. They could only smile. It was horrifying. That does not represent South Africa. You sit in that White House and proudly declare G20, almost stating that Trump will attend. I heard that. But maybe what the international world doesn't know is that our president recently arrived in Johannesburg and said this about it.
While you are at it, I found the city filthy. The city was not clean. There was rubbish all over the show. I got out of the car and even spoke to the police officers. And I said to them, this city looks torn. Ka Sesotho re re e tabogile.
Shocked to the hilt at what a bad state Johannesburg is in. And our president is surprised at the state of South Africa. He walks around the center of Joburg surrounded by armed guards and then reports back to the media that no, his walk around the center of Joburg was very safe. Seriously, Rupert, I sleep with my doors unlocked. I feel like X is handling him. They're going to give him a run for his money. But let it be noted that he lives in a secure estate, which many of the rich white people live in, by the way. The rest of us kippies are behind security gates with dogs and alarms. Waking up in the morning and the car behind our locked garage is gone. Having police victimize you and drive you off the road because they don't want to move lanes. They're too lazy to move lanes, so they hoot for you to get out the way. That's the police force in South Africa. And our president sits on stage talking about G20 like he's proud to have these people here. I wonder which parts of Johannesburg he's going to show them. Because at this stage, very few look great. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is private Cyril versus public Cyril. And I even see now, last night, the showdown is international. The Germans were talking about it. And I'm not really one to give my opinion about genocide, all of that. But let's understand just two things. Whether or not it is genocide is actually completely irrelevant. The problem here that nobody is acknowledging is that we have educated politicians and business people discussing what kill the brood, kill the farmer means. Sure, from an intellectual perspective, from an educated perspective, you can separate the struggle song from reality. And you can say, okay, fine. I can understand that you want to embrace your history as an educated person. The problem is that the people in the stadiums where Julius sings those songs are not educated. They are not able to create a distinction between how the food system works. Even our own ministers don't know how our food arrives on the store's shelves. Shockingly, and I'm referring to those guys as the educated lot. So now we have a bunch of uneducated people listening to their leader, their so-called savior, singing the song, "Kill the boer, kill the farmer." The point is that he is giving an environment, or he is giving a group of people a hugely emotive message. And in a crowd like that energy, rah, 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 and you leave and you're pumped full of adrenaline, and you go and have a beer. What do you think's going to happen? I mean, the fact that you can't see beyond what's happening in just that stage shows me that you should not be leading a country. At no point should a microphone be put in your hand. Those uneducated people leave that stadium so ramped up. Then they go drinking, then they start fighting, and then they start plotting. And whether or not that crime or violence ends in a farm murder or not, I guarantee you there is violence in some form after those rallies. Because those men are going to go home drunk. What are they going to do to their wives? What are they going to do to their friends? What are they going to do to their kids? It's not about racial. It's about violence straight up all over. That is the problem. If the genocide, guys, we are inciting violence. We are inciting an emotive message into uneducated people who don't know how to translate emotions into conducive conversation. They are going to take that anger, they are going to take that emotion, and they're going to take it out on someone. I don't give a poop about the conversation about who it is. Because at the end of the day, it is someone. Be it a woman, be it a child, be it a father, be it a brother, be it a farmer. Because at the end of those rallies, something's happening. And we're all blindsided by the word genocide. Can we all just step back for a second and look at this from a systems point of view? So, I support Neil de Beer and what he said on Sunday. Cyril, you're a coward. I saw that handshake like that when Trump started on you.
Trade, and we'll be talking about trade and other things, but that certainly will be a subject that comes up. Yeah. Yes, please.
We all saw you smile. Your whole delegation. Disgusting, 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 disgusting. Another thing the international stage needs to know about is the lady who spoke up in terms of the trade unions, talking about, AGOA and, how many jobs are going to be lost and like, please, without you, we will suffer. So herself and the other gentleman, Parks Tau Parks. Just so you know, that minister, Parks Tau, does not attend to steel manufacturers' urgent pleas for assistance for over a year. Then, in November 2024, a week before they close their doors, Parks asks for an urgent meeting, which everyone attends, except Parks. This is going to impact 3,500 jobs, but you're okay with climbing onto a plane and having the trade union lady speak, I guess, on your behalf, because you really don't have anything to say, do you? 3,500 jobs. You promised them billions. And also, I'd like to know where that's coming from. You can't do your job properly. They come to you to ask for help. You say, okay, fine, ignore them for a year, request an urgent meeting, don't attend, and they close their doors anyway. Thank you. Parks. Okay, guys, so that's my rant. Thanks for sticking with me all the way through. You know what to do. Like and share if this was in some way insightful. And then if you're new, of course, welcome, and make sure to subscribe. Support me with a super thanks or join me on my coffee channel. Then you can also follow me on X. I share a lot of graphs and data and insights into what's happening from a financial and economic perspective. But yeah, that was abhorrent, and our delegation should be ashamed of themselves, including you, Rupert, including you. Don't sleep behind locked doors. But I also live in a secure estate and have billions of rands to pay for solar panels and my own water supply and guards. Where do you all live? Hi,